What is up, everyone, and welcome to episode 22 of the Trainer Scoop, a podcast dedicated to individuals passionate about fitness, improve in life and lifting. Today, I have a little bit more of an unconventional type guest. Not that her knowledge will be unconventional per se, but we were able to connect over Instagram. So this is one of the first guests I've had that I haven't really met in person. But I'm really interested into what Donatella can bring to this conversation because I think she has a very unique background as compared to the other guests I've had on this show. So I'm really looking forward to being educated myself and then bringing that to my audience as well. Donatella, you want to say what's up to everybody?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me on. I'm so excited. So great to be here. And I never thought my stuff was a little unconventional, but I guess it is. I'm in my world, so my world is my world. So, but I get what you're saying. It is a little different, especially when I say bar and people are like bar, and I'm like, just bar.
I think we've all made that mistake.
I mean, I made it the first time. Oh, I want to try bar, and everybody's like, just a bar. Like, it's just a bar.
Okay, so why is it spelled with two R's and an E?
That's the name of that. That's the name of the equipment. So that bar, that ballet bar, which is what we use, which you kind of see over my left shoulder, is spelled B-A-R-R-E. That's the only reason why it's called bar and why it's spelled that way. Just from it, it was Pilates. It was a dancer based.
Right.
Back when it first came, and it was a dancer, Lottie Burke, who created this exercise, and she's the ballet bar.
Right. I did do some brief
research
on my end. I saw did it start in, was it like the UK? And then
So she was a prima ballerina, and she had I think she threw her back out, and so there's different reasons of how she threw her back out, but she threw her back out. And she needed to get back to ballet shape and in shape. And along with her doctor, I think it was a PT actually, they came up with exercises to get her back into ballet shape or strength while doing this. And that's how it kind of spiraled from there. And that's what we'll go into it later, but kind of how my love for bar came, being a massage therapist, and it just
I'm connecting the dots now.
You're connecting the dots now. You're like, oh, that makes so much sense.
Oh yeah. But I have to say, it's perfect. It's like a perfect prop for the video side of this. Like, you have exactly what we're talking about in the background.
Right. I didn't even realize. I mean, this is my studio. This room is my online studio, and it just happens to be there, which is kind of perfect. So everybody can know what a bar. This is usually into a wall. This is my freestanding bar, which is kind of fun but different. I like the wall bars better.
Yeah, I think so. I'm guilty. The class is offered at the gym that I work at. I still haven't taken it.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that this will be like the kick in the butt that I need to once I learn more about it. There we go.
Totally. I have a friend, a trainer, and he's big dude, just huge. And one day, I'm always taking his strength class when I was teaching in New York City, and you can't do fitness classes indoors. So at the time when I was indoors teaching with him, I would take his class before or after mine, and then he would kind of reciprocate because it's kind of what you do. And I remember him come in, and he picked up 10-pound weights, and I was like, "Oh, Rich, I'm gonna give you some threes." And he kind of looked at me, and all the women are like. And so he starts doing it now. Biceps 10 pounds, I'll tell you, want to go heavier. You start to get into the triceps and the deltoids, and you're out here for your arm is just hanging out here for 5 minutes. This starts to happen. You're like, oh my God. So it was fun because he would take my class, and then I would go into his class, and we'd now have heavier weights, and we're kind of doing shoulder presses, and all of a sudden he's like, now pulse right here. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, pulse, that's my word. He goes, and he'll say, I took this from Donatella, so if you guys hate it, it's her. I'm like, oh great. And everybody's giving me these looks. I'm like, yeah, okay.
That's awesome.
I got it. So,
I have this image of there's this movie, I think it was a Disney movie, it's been out for 10 years, with The Rock in it, and he does ballerina with his daughter.
Yes, I know what
What's
it's
it called? It's like the game plan.
babysitter. He was like a babysitter, or he was doing. I know what movie you're talking about.
Right.
I have it in my. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
So my
that would
classes
be
aren't
me.
that dancey. Yeah, my classes aren't that dancey. So as we go in,
Mhm.
I'm more orthopedic in nature and like
Right.
posture and function and neutral spine. So
Reminded me.
I always say like, yeah, right. So I need to kind of do that. So when I have especially men come into my class, I'm always like, I don't use those dancer terms. I'm not a
Hmm.
dancer. So like there's like Ron, I don't even know. And I'm like, it's all posture based, and I
Gotcha.
speak and what I say, like, I just sometimes feel when it's great for men. And when people come in, you think bar, I have to like be this prima ballerina, and I'm like, I don't dance. I dance, but like fun and goofy, but I'm
Yeah.
not like this, like, and you can tell like a fellow instructor, she's a dancer, and she just has this beautiful, like, and I'm like, yeah, that's not me. And I'm
I
yelling
gotcha.
at you, get that leg higher. I'm very kind of curt and to the point in class where I have to apologize sometimes. I'm like, I don't mean to yell at you, but I don't have time to be nice. Like, that's just not it. Get the leg higher.
I like it. I like it.
You know.
Well, Donatella, now that we know a little bit
Here.
about how you run your class, can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, kind of
Sure.
your background, how you got into
Absolutely.
this as a profession?
Yeah. Well, I'm 37, and I say that because I've been 20 years as a massage therapist. So right after high school, I went to massage therapy school out in Boulder. It's no longer there, but the Boulder College of Massage Therapy. And I did that to transition into college and go into the medical field. So my original idea of my career was, I'm going to be a massage therapist. I'm going to go get my undergrad, and I'm going to be a doctor, a PT, something, because that's where I want to go and that's what I want to do. And I still have passion for that, but things have evolved. And so then 20 years as a massage therapist, I always loved working out. I've always been active. I have two older brothers. I've played sports my entire life. And then um, I went to college. I got a molecular biology degree. I love science. And I was like, all right, here we go. I'm going to go and get my undergrad, and or my graduate degree. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I got to pay these student loans back. Okay. Let me like pump the brakes. Let me see what's going to happen here. Because my original thought was, I'm going to be this physician's assistant or nurse practitioner or something along those lines. And I'm going to create this clinic where you come in and it's not that allopathic medicine. It's more of that like complementary alternative medicine. You're going to come in, we're really going to look at the body as a whole. And I remember talking to a doctor about this, and he just kind of looked at me and he goes, that's a great idea, but why don't you just do it now? Like, if you're a physician's assistant, you have to be underneath the doctor, and you can't do what you just explained to me. And he was like, and all the schooling that you're going to do, you have to, like, it's going to take time, because now you're like fighting down barriers of this other world. And he was saying, and like, he liked what I had to say, but he's just kind of like, I'm telling you what you're going to kind of get into and what problems might occur. So you can just do that now. And I was like, oh, I guess. And so that happened. And then I was living in Connecticut I had gone between Boulder, Colorado, and Connecticut. And my brother, who's also a massage therapist, got his certification in lymphatic drainage. So he goes, you need to do that. And what this is, if you've ever worked with like lymphedema, most people don't know what that is. So like elephantitis, what happens, the lymph system stops working and a limb may start to swell. And when I mean swell, like out to here, if it's not managed. A lot of cancer patients are dealing with this, and we see that a lot here, especially breast cancer. Women in this country are the ones that deal with lymphedema the most, because these lymph nodes get taken out, and then these lymph nodes aren't working very well, and this arm is going to swell due to this breast cancer. So he's like, why don't you do that and then come out to Colorado and we'll go into business together like we always wanted to. And I'm like, done. So I did that. A month after I got the certification in Connecticut, I went to Colorado and we went into business together. And we would do vision boards and, what we want our practice. And every time I would do mine, there was like a yoga instructor or like some type of fitness person, because I like that. I like to teach. I like to talk. And, I like to move. And there was something about wanting, every time I went into a fitness class, right? that instructor's not like God, but you're like, whatever you say, I want to listen to, and you're knowledgeable, and I love being here. And, you know, it's just, I kind of wanted to do that. And I was on Facebook one day and an ad popped up, and I've always wanted to do bar. I've always wanted to take it, but bar at the time I couldn't afford it. It's boutique studio. They're a little bit more expensive. It just is what it is. And it was like, take free bar classes by working the front desk. One shift, 4 hours, that's it. And you had the studio. So I was like, and it literally was like across the parking lot to my office. So I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. So I emailed them, chatted with them, and they're like, okay, cool, you're it. I took class for 6 or so months. And I'm going to go into more of that because it's a question. But I took class for 6 or so months, and I looked to Emma, who was the owner, and she's now my friend. And I said, you know, Emma, I think I want to teach this. Is there an opening? And she goes, oh, well, unfortunately, we just got all of our openings for our teacher training. And, you know, Cece, another instructor, was like, she actually told me that she thinks you would be a great instructor, but unfortunately, I don't have space. I'll let you know the next one. The next day she calls me, she goes, somebody dropped out. I got your spot. And I was like, done. I'll rearrange my schedule. I'm here. And then that's how I got into the bar world. And I just started to go from there and really be like, oh, this made my, it kind of well-rounded my repertoire, like what I do. And it just kind of worked together. And so that's kind of how I ended up here. And now I'm online, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So
that's very, very cool how it unfolded, isn't it? It's like, it's always like some coincidence like that occurs, and it just changes the course of your life, honestly. But one thing that kind of came to mind, and I'm always interested to hear this because a lot's changed since, you know, you got that undergrad degree, in terms of just the overall perception of like health and wellness as a profession. What was it like? So I'm guessing this was kind of like mid 2000s ish.
I graduated in 01 from high school. 02, I got I was finished with my massage degree. 07, I got my molecular biology degree. So it started early 2000s. So I was ahead of the curve in the sense that like people my age were not in class with me. I was dealing with a lot of second or third career people when I was in massage therapy school. You go to massage therapy school now, and it's people right out of high school. It's like,
I see.
You know, so I was actually the youngest person in my class, and there was 2 other women who were my age, and then another friend of mine who was like 4 years older than us, and we were called like the kids. We were like these young kids, and everybody else was like 30, 40, 50, 60. Like I worked in finance, and it drained me, and I hated life, and I just want to treat and help people. And that's, you know, now people like, go to a trade school, do massage. Oh, you get $60, $100 an hour. I get to work 4 hours a day. We'll talk about that, because that's not exactly how it works. It
always sounds cool.
It always sounds so much better. I'm like, somebody just was in school and said this exact thing, but yeah, it's good.
Okay. So you kind of had a background that I guess wasn't necessarily like, so you went to college second after doing that?
Second. I did that. My brother, the smart brother that he is, I have 2 of them. This is the oldest one. And he goes, you know, if anything, you just be a massage therapist, and you don't have to wait tables during college.
Right. That's a good point.
And I will say I had a molecular biology degree, right? So that's a lot of studying, a lot of labs. I wasn't, no offense if this was anybody out there, I wasn't a business major, where all my friends who are business majors, like they're partying every Tuesday night. And I'm like, I'm in the library. What are you guys doing? Like I couldn't do that. And so like, I worked like 1 or 2 days during the week, and every Saturday all day. And I was making money that I could pay my car. I had food. I didn't have to ask my parents for an allowance. You know, I had to do all these things, but I still had so much time to study and have fun, because I was in college.
Oh
I
yeah.
did all that too. But yeah, so I did that first. And it wasn't really only the basis of like work through school. It was a lot of, you're going to have a great, you want to go into health, here's your foundation. You
Gotcha.
want to be with people here. And that was originally like the biggest factor of me doing that first, to the point where I was thinking about going back into getting a physician's assistant degree. So after that 4 year, I remember being in an orientation or an open house, and the guy who was like talking about their program was talking about patient care hours. And so he's like, you need to have at least 200 hours of patient care hours prior to even applying. So I raised my hand. I go, well, I've been a massage therapist. And at this point, I think it was like 4 years already or something. I was like, I've been a massage therapist for like 4 years. Do you consider that patient care hours? And what he said to me, I was like, you get it, dude. He goes, you're closer to patients than I am. And he had his stethoscope. He goes, this is as close I get. He goes, but you're on them. And whatever you have, that's more than enough. You probably have a great bedside. And he went on. I was like, oh, thanks. So yeah, so I actually had done the massage first to then transition to the undergrad, because my goal was to then be this like doctor or nurse practitioner or something in that realm.
Right.
And so, and then 2007 and the crash happened. I guess every time I get something happens, because now we're in COVID. I'm like, all right, we're good.
Something's got to give.
It's fine.
So when you departed from your original kind of thought process of becoming, whether it be a PA or a nurse practitioner, were you at all nervous, or did you receive any like pushback from your friends and family, or was it always something that you were super confident about?
Oh no, you almost feel like your dreams are shot at a second. Like you're like, but I thought I always wanted to do this, and you have to kind of really, meditate, whatever you need to do on it. My parents love the idea of having some type of like doctor or something in the family. And when you come back and we're like, well, now two of your kids are massage therapists, like, so they support us, and they don't really, whatever you want to do is happy, but they're always like, you still have to make money. Like the world, like you don't want to, they're immigrants from Italy. So they wanted us to have an easier life for them. So, there wasn't pushback. It was just like, are you sure this is what you want to do? And they were also entrepreneurs as well. So they also understood that that's what I wanted to do, open up my own thing. And so you get a lot of pushback. You get people at the time, massage therapist, like you do happy endings. Like, I'm just like,
oh no,
I don't, and don't ever come on my table ever. You get all these like things, because 2001, how many people do you know were being a massage therapist? Not many.
Right.
Now, unless you're out in Boulder, Colorado, where it's such a saturated market, but that's different now. Like, oh, I go see a massage therapist. I have a massage therapist. I go see an acupuncturist. Now, like this whole wellness thing, I'm like, where were you guys 15 years ago when I was like, you got a little pushback, but at the same time, like, when I started to talk about it, and I talked about what it is that I wanted to do with it, and the demographic that I want to work on, like athletes and things like that, and then you start to talk, somebody's hurt and you're just in conversation and you're like, oh, well, what's going on? Do you like, oh, it's your right arm? Are you sitting at a desk, or is that your mouse? And you kind of start talking. I'm telling them what they do day to day, and I just met them and they're kind of just like, how do you know this? I'm like, well, it's the bot. And so when you just start talking, you explain things, you just start talking knowledgeable to people, their whole perception changes. And they're just like, oh. So that's what would happen. I had to really educate people on what I was doing and why I think it was valid and why I didn't want a 9-to-5. And now it's so much easier, because that's kind of where we are. Nobody wants that 9-to-5 anymore. Everybody wants to have that flexibility and schedule, also have money, and also, I think, do good in the world. Like, is that why we like work, other than, expenses, but like to do something good? I think
Definitely.
so at the beginning, but now, and then you had friends in the beginning, like I came out of massage therapy school, give me a massage. I'm like, give you a massage? I just spent a lot of money for this.
Oh yeah.
hire me and I'll give you a massage. And as a trainer, it's the same thing. A trainer, nutritionist, fitness instructor, massage therapist, you tell people, your friends, what they do, you do, and they're like, so when are you going to help me? And it's such an awkward conversation. Like, oh, when are you going to pay me? And I'll help you. I mean, you don't ask a doctor to prescribe you medicine, or like your friend who's a doctor give you a physical for free. No, they're going to be like, come to my office, give me your insurance card, and we'll talk about it. But all these other things that we are, it's just like, you know, I don't think people, at least then, less now, realize the amount of education and things we actually have to go through to be, you know, the good fitness trainer, massage therapist, et cetera, that we are. And so now it's a little less, but in the beginning, yeah, I got pushback. I got like, I was like this hippie, like I'm here with like all my oils now too. And people think that's all funny. And I'm like, you know, just plant juice.
Hey, they'll catch up just like they
right.
did.
They'll catch up. They're all catching up. And I'm just ahead of it. So it's fine.
So I think you bring up a really good point, from sort of like the external validity that people might give these kind of professions. Has that changed over time? Like, obviously a lot more people are utilizing massage therapists and, you know, other recovery modalities like that. But just as kind of like a health and wellness professional in general, what are some of the shifts and trends you've seen over the years?
I think we're looked at a little bit more like as a necessity. I think doctors are looking at us a little bit differently. They're talking more about preventative medicine, and I think that's really where we come in. That I think now the wellness field, especially now with everything, but we're very much preventative. And when you talk about like healthcare costs and things like that, we're now the people that are the first line of defense. So I'm always like, I'm your gatekeeper. Like I'm the first person you want to see before stuff hits the fan. So yeah, I think like there's a little bit more like from the higher up, I don't want to say higher ups, but from those like typical nurses, doctors, they're now giving us more credit. They're giving the nutritionists more credit. They're giving the trainers more credit. Like I've literally had people from a bar class alone. Now, granted, I have a background in massage, so I have a background with anatomy and function. So when I give cueing and when I, you know, do classes, it's almost like I'm pulling that and I'm bringing it into an exercise class. But I've had people literally with like shoulder injuries, like a separation of the shoulder, come into class, continuously take my bar class, see me as a massage therapist, and come to me and be like, everything you're telling me to do is what my PT, my doctor, my this is telling me to do. And they're seeing all, what's the word I'm looking for? Progress that I'm making. And it's because I'm seeing you. And so it's really cool that these other practitioners are seeing this progress in a patient. And when the patient's like, well, I'm doing bar and I'm getting massage and I'm getting acupuncture, and these doctors and therapists are like, wow, that's it. Like, you know, it's nice that as a lymphatic therapist, I work with edema. So the swelling that happens doesn't have to be lymphedema, but I will work with edema. And when I was in Colorado, my brother and I, he still works with them, but this PT office that was across the hall, before the person even went in to get PT and they just came out of like knee surgery, whatever it was, and there was edema, they sent them to us first. They said, go see these people. They're going to get the swelling down, see them for X amount of sessions. And then you're going to notice that your PT is going to get better. And so it's just, so it's really cool having these like professions that everybody looks up to now being like, you know, we all have to kind of work together. And these people that you may not have thought was like this, like person to go see is somebody you really need to see. So that I think is the best change, having the professionals, you know, talk about us as professionals and how we are such an integral part of this whole wellness. And now wellness is all about prevention, because we all know that these medications are little band-aids and it's not something you want to be on all the time, and they wreak havoc on the body. And I understand there's people that need to be on medications all the time, and I'm not saying that's wrong, but a lot of things are preventative, and if we could stop it before it starts. And so I just love that the both of these worlds are like really coming together. And
Yeah.
it's really making us like, you know,
Oh,
makes you feel good. Like I did something.
I definitely get that.
Right.
Two things come to mind. The first, like kind of jumping off that point that you just made. So the gym that I train out of is like hospital affiliated here in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
So like the big hospital chain, Robert Wood Johnson. We have like a whole bunch of gyms that are either like connected to the hospital, or ours is just a little bit of ways from the one that's close to me. But being recommended like a client from a doctor, it's pretty cool that,
Pretty cool.
to make that connection and have them see that as like a valid source of treating a patient almost.
Yeah. It's so cool. Like it's still like you still get like excited, like, oh, like I remember one time, this was a long time ago. This was when I was in college and I was working at a spa, and I'm not your typical spa massage therapist, but sometimes spa is the first job you get. And I'm very much like a treatment oriented person. And this guy comes in and I'm working on him, and either it was his wife or his like doctor. Somebody in there was like a cardiac something. And I said something and he goes, yeah, I heard about you. And I go, well, excuse me. Somebody I had worked on was in the medical profession and went to this whatever. And then within this little office at this hospital, my name got tossed around and I started getting, and they're like, yeah, we heard about you from this doctor because this person came in. And I was like, that was I remember I was like, that was like one of the coolest things that ever happened to me. Like, a doctor's office talked about me and told you to come see me. Okay, so cool. Like, and then you get nervous because you want to make it be like the best session ever.
Yeah.
It is, but so yeah, it's exciting when the doctors like give a nod to you. I'm like, oh, cool.
Most definitely. The second thing that came to my mind, and I guess I'll just preface it with like, I'm not really sure what the demographics of the like massage therapy industry are, but I'm sure you've encountered this in some way. But like, how has being a woman in that field just been in general? Like, have you encountered any difficulties that you had to surmount, or what are your thoughts?
Well, I like to, so when women talk about like gender equality in the workplace, I laugh a little bit because in my workplace, the women are the dominant ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought.
yeah. So it's interesting because my brother is a massage therapist, right? And so when even men, so it's not just women be like, I just want a woman. But even men, when they're asked, do you prefer a female or a male therapist? 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to say female. So in that sense, like I have an edge because think about what you're doing in a massage. You're getting undressed, you're underneath the sheet, and now that person standing clothed has the power. The therapist has that power versus the client on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier for me to get clients that way, or as a female in general, it's easier for me. Now, that being said, have weird things happened to people on the table that are probably inappropriate? And do those things happen more to women than to men as therapists? Yeah. Have they happened to me? It's weird. 20 years or so in this profession, and I can't give you like a horror story. Okay. And I don't know if it's because I just have this energy, like literally, if you were to meet me in person, it's kind of like, I dare you to mess with me. I dare you to. I dare you to. Like, come on. And I don't know if I give off this like because you're the one on the table, and my hands are strong, and you don't want to really do something to me while I'm, and touching you in like a little pinch of the trap, and you kind of can't do anything to me, and you're a 300-pound person, and I'm this like 100-pound something, so, but I've heard, and it's funny because it's not funny, but like when I was working in college in a spa, the other massage therapist was very like mild mannered and soft, and and then I heard about something happening to her where like this guy was like, no, I got to sit in there and watch my girlfriend get a massage. And so this therapist didn't put her foot down and be like, does she know how to speak English? Is there a reason why you need to be in this room? Because I've had people like, if you're a minor, the adult's in the room.
Yeah.
Or I've had a patient of mine bring in their mother who only spoke Spanish, and she goes, so I'm just going to be in the room just in case I need to translate. So those things, yeah, you could be in the room, but to sit there and the guy was like, well, I think I want to go into massage. I wish it had happened to me and not her, because she was like, okay. And then, she leaves, they're still in the room together. They're taking a little bit too long to open that door. And then she comes in and she sees a wrapper of, you can just guess what was on the floor as they walk out. And, we had to like sage the room. And then I get called asking like, what I would have done. And I'm like, I wouldn't have let him sit in the room. Like, and so I think because I had two older brothers growing up, like, I just have that kind of like, I dare you to mess with me. Right. And I just haven't had that. But as females, you will get that. I also have really good boundaries. And if I feel uncomfortable and I don't want to massage you, I do not care. I just don't feel I was taught, and every massage therapist should be taught. So if there's a massage therapist that's new and you're watching this and you're not sure, you have the right to refuse service to anybody. Because if you don't feel comfortable, the only place we will get, not as an adult, non-sexual intimate touch. Only place, right? Like that's it. Like I'm touching you, it's very intimate, but there's nothing sexual about it. And if I feel even the little bit icky about you, I'm out. I'm not doing it. And the money isn't that money isn't that much at that moment, right? So I would say like those are the two things. One, in the sense that like women, we kind of dominate this field. That being said, I do love to get massaged by men because, unlike me, well, I am one of the few. No, I'm just kidding. But like, they don't. My brother's a massage therapist. He was the first person to ever massage me, and they're not afraid to get in there. It's just men kind of just have that like, and so I prefer just like, don't sugarcoat it. I just need you to kind of give me an elbow and have me breathe, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. That's actually the work that I do. But as a female in the field, you're going to probably have more clients. It's going to be easier to get more clients. That being said, when it comes to those weird things that may happen behind closed doors, that's going to happen to you probably more so than a male. And you just have to be very confident and be perfectly okay to tell the person to leave. Yeah. And it's a hard thing to do, but I don't know. I just had no, that's my person. I have no problem. Like I was in field hockey in high school and I was voted like biggest mouth. So clearly I have no problem telling you where you need to go if you need to go somewhere.
Right. Well, I'm actually really glad to hear that from you. I think you're maybe only the second female guest I've had on this, like 22 episodes, right?
Oh, no.
And so it's, don't worry, I'm expanding. I got a list now.
I got people for you if you need them. I got nutritionists. I got a whole bag of tricks if you need people.
Oh, most definitely. But yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that. Like, it's kind of like empowering in a way, because I'm sure it doesn't just happen with massage, like across the health and wellness professional board. It's good for the ladies to hear that and to, just like speak up and be assertive, just like you are. So that's really cool to hear. So what is your typical client like for the massage side of things?
Well, let me see. Weirdly enough, and I don't know why this happened to me, but I tend to have more men than women. And I think it's because of the treatment work that I do. Not that I have a lot of women that are on my table, but, you know, when you come in to me, you're coming in to do treatment work. So when people ask like, so what's treatment work? What is she talking about? Shoulder issue, right? My neck is hurting. Like I might see a posture kind of like this. So what we're going to do, we're not going to do a whole relaxation. I joke around. I say like, put the lotion on. We're not doing that. We're doing myofascial release. We're stretching. We're doing trigger point therapy. And I don't know if I'm going to get to the whole body because you're coming in for an issue and I have to work the surrounding areas, and that treatment work, that deep tissue work done correctly takes time, and I'm on a point for a while waiting for a release. So so people who want treatment work is definitely, you know, my kind of people. And athletes, I have worked on professional athletes living in Colorado, huge triathlon population, and I would get triathlons into my practice a lot, triathletes. And so I have a lot of that. I get a lot of runners. I don't know if it's because I'm a runner, but I do get a lot of runners. But it definitely, I think because I've worked in gyms, it's a lot of people who move a lot and need that kind of work. So that's my demographic. I want to say like age wise, we're looking at mid 30s to like mid 60s. Those are the people who have that kind of expendable income to pay for a massage. It's just, however, you know, I'm in Connecticut, so in Fairfield County, and I do have young athletes that get on my table. Like I'm working with this swimmer. He's 17 years old and coming in, he's like, he does the backstroke. That's his like biggest one. So think about what the arm is doing the whole time. And so he's like, my left shoulder, it's just, I'm having pain all the way up here. But yeah, I would say like I have slightly a bit more men. I do have a gamut of athletes. I would love to get more on that professional level, like New York Islander hockey. If anybody is watching this, then you need a massage therapist. I'm right here. I'm a hockey fan. It's good.
We'll hashtag
but like, right? Hashtag see what they want, you know? So but like 30s to 60s, that kind of range. And you know, that for the massage side, when people come for manual lymphatic drainage, it's kind of across the board, usually a little bit older, because that's when things start to hit the bed. But that's about right, I would say.
Okay. How would you say the needs from like some more of your serious professional type athletes vary compared to maybe just like someone that's like more so a weekend warrior type deal?
It's funny. I actually wrote that down, like weekend warrior, because those are the two.
I remember.
Yeah, I was like, those are the two. So weekend warrior, let's see. My weekend warriors will come in and they are sore. Why are they sore? Because they never do anything. And then they go, like I usually see it around race time, like there's a race, a 5K, a 10K, and they like do 2 weeks of training, and then they go run, and then they're like hobbling into my office, and they're kind of looking at me like, I'm never doing that again. And so I have to be a little bit gentler on them. They're sore. So any kind of touch may be not nice. So I need to be a little gentler. I'll probably throw in some more stretches. But I noticed, I was writing this, one of the biggest things is kind of talking them into staying with that workout or whatever it is. Because so many times they'll come in and I'm like, this is why I don't work out. Look, I don't run because like my knee bothers me, and now look what happened. And I have to be like, whoa, let's pump the brakes. You don't work out, and then you ran 5 miles like a banshee, and now you're hobbling in and you think that the running was the knee when really it was the lack of running that got you here, you know? And so I have to kind of coach them like, no, let's do this, you know? And I might not see them as frequently as my professional athletes. So my professional athletes come in and they're like, much like that young swimmer, boom, they'll point exactly here, 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 here. And I'm like, all right, they know they're coming in for treatment work. They know it's not going to be the whole body, but they also think they know everything. So while I have the weekend warriors who are listening to me and they're absorbing all this information, and they're going to like, my athletes are like, you're not my first massage therapist, da, da, da. You know, and they kind of, you know, they think, oh, you know, they talk about like my low back, like you did an Ironman and your back hurts, and I'm now like working your psoas, and you're questioning me why I'm working my psoas, and now I have to educate them that way. Well, hip flexor, you know, like you were just like this for I don't know how many miles it is in an Ironman. I know
Yeah.
the run is a marathon. It's like
Mhm.
so, but like, you know, now you're like this, and I got to open you up. So it's kind of educating them in a different way because they're, you know, and the one thing I do like, I don't want to say like better, but what I've noticed about people, I'll just say people who work out regularly versus people who don't.
Mhm.
The people who work out regularly actually are very in tune with their bodies. And it's
Mhm.
actually nice to see when somebody comes in because they can talk to you a lot more, and I can start to create this plan in my head like, okay, you know, I don't know why, but like I start to feel something here, and then sometimes like weird it goes down to my left, you know, and they kind of have more of this
Yeah.
conversation versus somebody who doesn't do that, doesn't get massaged that much, doesn't work out that much. They're not in the body, they're, I
Mhm.
guess, more cerebral in the mind. And so when they come in, oh, I got this as a gift certificate. What's going on? No, I'm fine. You're not stressed? Stress? No. Okay. All right.
Makes it a little
Get on the,
harder.
you know, so I'll just do things like, well, what do you do for work? Oh, I'm in finance. So are you at a desk? And I'll even like do this kind of movement. Are you at a desk all the time? Like now it's like, are you on Zoom all the time? Are you, you know, are you, you know, like, are you now not at your standing desk or whatever you had at the office, and now you're maybe on a couch and you're here? So now those people I have to kind of talk to, not that I don't talk up front, but really kind of like, what is your day like? Because you're not telling
Mhm.
me anything. Um, I mean, you don't have to tell me anything. You get on my table and I can just start like, and then you get like, how did you know that was there? Can you feel that? I love when people ask if I can feel that. Well, I am a massage therapist, so
That's what I do.
it's what I do. I kind of touch you, but yeah. So I like working with those who, working with people who work out or move the body. Just they're more in tune, and you can have that nice communication versus somebody who has no clue. But then what happens is the person who has no clue shows up 2 weeks later and felt so good. I need to see you again. And then then you
Yeah.
can start to like, and I like those because then I feel like I help them. Like,
Mhm.
you know, you are, but it's kind of like, okay, now that we got this, what are you doing as exercise? Because this is what I'm seeing. And if you want to get out of this pain, maybe you need to start doing a few of these things. And, you know, sometimes I will talk about, well, we'll talk about bar, we'll talk about yoga, and I will talk about Pilates first, just because those are like my world. Um, and sometimes that's an easy transition into something like, you know, people, you know, just lifting weights or getting to the free weights. I know as a female, we all get very intimidated by, you know, like going in and, you know, getting in the bar and doing those squats, like, cause you're looking around and you see like these dudes that, you know, and I sound like that. I sound like that. My friend laughed at me. She goes, "Do you breathe like that?" I'm like, "I breathe, man. I breathe." Like, you know, like, yes, I do breathe like that. But so getting them into like a fitness class or something like that is always like my first go-to.
Yeah.
Um, and then, you know, oh, you might want to lift some heavier weights, and then we can go to that. But so I hope that answer. I feel like I touched on a lot of things, but I hope that answered your question.
Oh yeah, that's a very
Okay.
good point, especially the last point you just made.
Yeah.
But I think it definitely just goes to show, and I see this too, that each demographic has its challenges. Like you might kind of like when you start out um, like you might put a certain demographic of like, oh, I'd love to work with these people and only these people. But you just got to keep in mind that, you know, each different set of people, they have their own challenges, and you're gonna have to navigate it one way or another. But
Oh
that's really
yeah.
cool to hear. Could you talk more about kind of the relationship between your massage therapy and bar and how they kind of like benefit each other?
Yeah, listen, I could talk about forever. Yeah, so my philosophy as a massage therapist is, you know, the mind is like the wind, the body like the sand. You want to know which way the wind is blowing, just look at the sand. So really like mind, body, and posture. We can kind of see a lot of things that happen in posture. Like people who are very overly confident right? This is not a good posture being, we all think we should be like this, right? Or people who maybe like the Eeyore of your friend group is kind of just, so, and when we get into these positions, what happens? Like, I'm going to use this because everybody's at a desk, right? So this is kind of like our typical thing. Now I'm tight here. I need to like find a lift. I have to pull the shoulders back. I have to, so I get into these anatomical positions. I want you to be as anatomical as possible. And it's kind of like the same thing with bar. You work in a neutral spine. So I know certain bar studios are all about the tuck, like tuck that tailbone under. You'll see it like tuck it out. Like you see like that word. When I was trained, or where I was trained out in Colorado, we talked a lot of neutral spine. And I think that's why, because I was trained with this company, the Daily Method first, and they talked about neutral spine, that's why I think I just loved it so much, because that's what I was talking about. I was talking about like that pelvic floor engagement, the alignment of the hips over the shoulders. So when I went and I just thought I was doing like this bar class, and then I'm sitting here and I'm hearing cueing from the instructors, and I'm sitting there like, that's what I'm kind of telling my people on the table. That's how I'm telling them to engage. That's how I want them to move. And my goodness, you just took what I did and you whoever did, put it in a workout form. And so I'm very much like alignment. I've always been about find that alignment. Like, my friends, like they'll kind of be here and I'll walk by them and sometimes I'll be like, lift with your heart. And I'll kind of adjust their posture. And it's the same thing at, in bar, like I'm all about hands-on adjustment. I can't really do that now, but I will literally go to somebody when we were able to, and I will like pull their shoulders back. I will move their hips in the position that they need to be in. And then I will be like, see that? Yeah. See how you're working at that? See how hard that is? Now take this and get out of this studio and use it as you're walking down the hallway, right? And so that's so I take my philosophy of the body and anatomy and how it should be, and I translate that into a workout, and that's what it is. It's working in a neutral spine is one of the hardest things to do. We should be working in neutral 90% of the time. Like, like RDLs, that's a neutral spine right there. You don't, and it's like the same thing. So it's kind of that same thing. I really focus on the alignment, the core work. Back pain. Why do most people have back pain? Your core isn't engaged ever. And so then I go to Home Depot and I see the people with the belts on, and I'm like, oh my God. What you are doing right there is you are letting the body know that it doesn't need to be engaged because you have support. And so now you're letting the body know, you're forgetting all that muscle memory. And then when you take it off, the body doesn't know what to do. Like those things should only be used for a couple hours during certain kind of movements if you have a back issue. But unfortunately, people take those things, they put that thing on and it's on them all day. And they're like, but my back feels. My mother is one of those people sometimes. I'm like, why are you using this thing? Oh, my back hurts. Well, mom, I don't know, maybe lift, engage, and they don't listen. Parents don't listen to the kids ever. So, somebody else tells them they'll listen. So I just wait for that. But yeah, so it's literally taking what I tell my people here on the table, how to engage, and then taking it into a workout form. And I'll always refer to people to go to bar. If you want better posture, you want this, try it, see what happens, and find that lift, find that length, find that engagement, protect your joints, protect the back, find your pelvic floor, and so that's kind of what I do. It's massage, my philosophy of massage in a workout.
Yeah.
And that's why I loved it.
Yeah, definitely. It's cool to see how really closely they can be related. And it's also just cool that you educate people so well. Not only are they getting what feels to be a great workout, I'm sure, but they're taking some great practical tips that'll impact their life in a positive way out of the class as well. So that's really cool to see. And it's just something that I feel like all, fitness professionals should try to do as well. Just have an impact outside of just the time that you have with your client.
Yeah. And that's what I try to do, like functional fitness, right? Like that's what you could get up, I don't know if you saw this video recently. It was two girls on a spin bike, and they're like getting their legs up and down, and they're doing all these like fun it's great for a video. It really is. Like, it's fun to watch. But then I said to somebody, I go, but tell me when you're going to need to do that out there.
Oh yeah, that's so many
like,
things on Instagram and
yeah,
Facebook.
on oh my God, Instagram and Facebook. I'm just kind of like,
Yep. So one question that just came to mind, they're not like as big as they were like, I want to say a year or two ago, but from a massage therapist perspective, what are your thoughts on all those like massage guns, like the hypervolt gun? What do you think about those?
I like them. I use them. I think they're great. I think they're great to have between massages. I think if you don't know how to use, I think people are using them instead of massage, and I'm just kind of like, no, you're not going to really get the same thing. You don't know, like, first of all, you can only do so much on, I mean, like, you know, how are you going to put a massage gun like right here and not
That's
like
my issue.
deal with this shoulder, you know? So I think they're great tools. Like I have massage tools. Like I have like a Theracane that I use, which is like, you know, I have a vibrating foam roller and all that stuff. So I think they're awesome. I think some trainers like to carry them around because it makes them look a little bit more professional.
Right.
I hate to say it, but I've seen it and I'm just kind of like, you don't need that. But, you know, I think they're cool. I think they're cool to have. And do I use it in my practice? I'd rather use my hands, but if I think I've used it on somebody once, and I think it was my brother, but I usually like to use my hands a little bit more. I'm just that kind of person. I like to feel it because I can't, the tool is feeling it, and I can't feel a release of whatever I'm trying to release unless I stop it and put my hand on it. But I think for self-massage, get it, try to find one that's quiet because they're loud. That's my problem. They're loud. Like TheraBand, Theragun, like that's a great company, but I do feel like theirs is the loudest, and I just don't understand why. Like it's like so if you can find a quieter one, find a quieter one.
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing that like so many different offshoots of like more generic type brands took advantage of like that marketing, and like you said, like it makes you look more professional. I was always kind of, two things. You're like, that's my pain right there, because I have like some wing of the scapula going, and it's like so hard to get in there with the hypervolt is the one that I have, and that's where that thing would be clutch. This other gym that I go to has one. I need to work on it more.
Yes, you do.
I feel like in general, those guns are like I mean, once again, they've kind of died down, but like so overhyped. Just because if you look at it from like a physiology standpoint, you really can't get that deep tissue. I mean, maybe the Theragun, which is like the one that's like $700.
Yeah.
I think it was funny. I was working an expo once. It was a CrossFit expo. And then like the dude that designed the Theragun, his son was there in the booth next to ours. So he was like chatting me up about it. And I think like theirs is pretty deep. But like, once again, it's not the most cost friendly. I would probably not buy that for
I wouldn't. It's the most expensive one, and so I wouldn't buy it.
Yeah,
I would buy one that's quieter, and I'm the same way. I was like,
right.
And they deal with vibration, but they don't get as deep as
exactly
you could get.
It was like it was more so like the frequency of the vibrations were masking the pain, like they were like kind of overriding the neurons.
Right.
So it's like, okay, that's cool, but you're not really doing yourself much.
Right. Like they're exploiting, I don't know if exploiting is the right word, but like pain gate theory, right? Like you can only feel a certain thing at a certain time. So you're gonna feel the most of the highest frequency, and the pain is not gonna be there, but it might be there later.
Right. So Donatella, it seems like you have a really cool sort of business model, right? Where you're helping people on the massage table and then also imparting knowledge upon them in these classes. How has your business had to adapt and been affected by COVID? It's a
A
hard question.
lot. It hurts my heart to talk about it, but I won't cry, but I'm over crying. It's been 8 months. So I went from teaching, let's just start teaching, because that has been affected the most. For some reason, people don't mind coming in for a massage. Like that's kind of coming back a lot faster, but the teaching, being in the gym, like I went from teaching 15 classes a week to, I teach my own online, so I'll get into that in a second, but in-person classes, I went from teaching 15 to one.
Wow.
One.
That's
Because
crazy.
One. Because I was primarily I work for Chelsea. One of the bigger gyms I work for is Chelsea Pierce. And I worked in Brooklyn at their Chelsea location as well, and their Connecticut location. When COVID was happening, I was living out on Long Island. And so they called me, I was furloughed, and then the Connecticut was like, we're just gonna take you off the schedule entirely because you're on Long Island. You're not gonna be coming here I was only doing like 1 or 2 days in Connecticut. I was at one point their bar lead, and then I got that promotion right before COVID, and then it's gone. Yeah. So, so there's that one. And then New York, you still can't do fitness classes. In New York City, you cannot do fitness classes indoors.
Oh, really? Okay.
Still. New York State, you can. And what happened is that I ended up leaving Long Island to come back so I don't have to pay rent. Like my parents have I'm in my basement apartment, and they have a studio space. And then like the rest of my little abode is over there. So they're like, just come here, don't pay rent or anything, and focus on your business. So my business went from always in person, hands-on adjustments, to now I'm a virtual bar studio. And it's hard. It's hard because I had no problem in person going into the city, and my name was getting around, and I have a presence. And I feel like coming into the virtual world, now that competition just expanded exponentially. And people, because a lot of it is social media, right? A lot of it, how we're now advertising, is like Instagram and all that kind of stuff. And now I just feel like I'm a little fish in a very big pond, and I now have to fight for my spot. And I might be even though I may be very intelligent, I have all this knowledge, I have this, but there is somebody else that is genetically better, fit better, right? Just like happens to have more of that influence, or like maybe you paid for bots, I don't know, and you have like 100,000 followers, and so now I'm with my like 1,100 followers to their 100,000, and I'm fighting for that same spot, even though I know, and I don't want to sound like conceited, but even though I know my classes, because I've seen that, my classes, my work, my cues are a lot better for you than this one, but this one is the shiny, sparkly thing that everybody wants. So that's kind of where it like shifted, and it's a lot more marketing I have to do, and it's just kind of like starting over in a way, but we're all also starting over. So and the tech, like I have a ring. I'm not good at all of this, so like I still write things on like paper. I'm that kind of person. So now going into this virtual realm with all of this IT, it is a lot. And I would say my massage is picking up, and that you can't do anything besides in person on massage. So that's kind of okay. That actually came back sooner than fitness did. Weird. I can give a massage, but when I'm in class that one day a week, I can't touch the person. So although I'm wearing a mask and I'm coming close, I have to so now, and I was known for my hands-on adjustments. Like people literally love to come to my class because they're like, you're not afraid to get in there. And like, I have no problem. Can I touch? I'll ask, like, can I touch you? Yep. All right, here we go. Boom. And I'm like, literally like muscling you into position. And then they're like, oh, okay, I got it. Versus now I'm literally like on my hands and feet, and I'm like, or my hands and knees. And I'm like, that hip. And I'm like getting that hip. I can't touch it, but that hip, drop it for a second. and some people need that touch because the visual and the auditory learning isn't their forte. So, and that's what we all have to work on. So it's really been a challenge teaching virtually on a Zoom, but it's working. I mean, I still have, if I was told, if you still have paying clients with all the free content right now, you're good. Keep going, keep at it.
Yeah. That's
that's kind of, like I still have paying clients and I'm just going to keep pushing, and that's it.
Definitely. So. Yeah. You bring up a lot of valid points there. Well, first, kind of like unrelated, have you spent any time in Colorado after like COVID outbreak?
I did.
What's the climate like there? In terms of fitness classes, massage,
fitness classes, they're out. The massage therapists, I feel, are more afraid than the people. My brother not being one of them, but he tells me like, oh, it's like, I'm not coming back. I'm getting unemployment, and that's fine for some people, but other people, that doesn't really work, and they need to go. So it is coming back. I want to say when I went the week after the 4th of July. I was there, and they were not considered like a high risk state at the time. They are now. I don't know why, but it's Jared Polis, who's the Boulder, Colorado congressperson, has been actually, I don't know if you were paying attention to what Cuomo was doing for New York. He was like following Cuomo. So
really,
and it did at that time. It didn't make sense to me because I'm like, you're not on top of each other over here. Like, you're not in New York. It didn't make sense. But people still want to work out. The thing about Colorado is that you get 300 days of sunshine a year, and gyms are not as popular as they are on the East Coast. So like, here I joke around, like you get like the East Coast meathead in the gym all the time, right? There you're hiking, you're biking. So that was always there. The only difference is people are now like yelling at you if you don't wear a mask, and whatever your feeling is. But that's like the thing that I'm saying when I was there. Like, so I went on a hike. There's a hike I do, and I run up it. It's like 1.5 miles, and you get like 1,000 elevation gain, and then I run down it. And so what changed for me is I had a mask in my hand that if I came close to somebody, I put it on real quick, and that's it. But the majority of people are still outside working. I think the gyms came back faster than New York City, faster, about the same time as Connecticut, actually. Connecticut, they came back in June. So the gyms came back, and people are going. I mean, we're talking about Boulder, Colorado, and all these people, they're all athletes, like of some, it's no other place you're ever going to see like that, I feel like, because everybody is like a runner, everybody's a triathlete, everybody's a cyclist, everybody rock climbs. Like, the gyms are not as busy as the trails, and that's 365 days a year. In Boulder, Colorado, 12% of the population bikes, no matter the weather, every single day to and from work, or that's their only mode of transportation. And so it's a little bit different there. They didn't ever want to lose their fit. They were like, we got to keep going. And so that's that I think was the biggest difference. But they have, like, the mountains are their playground. They have open space that we don't have here on the East Coast. We're like, so it's a little different in that sense. They don't really need the gyms, but and it's 300 days of sunshine. So they can take their gym classes outside if they want to have a mask-free class, because it might be February, not that we're in February yet, but I remember being there in February and I'm running in a tank top and shorts in Colorado. And the next day it snows, so like, it's just, you're closer to the sun. You have it's better weather to take the whole fitness thing outside. And so that's helping them. I kind of wish I was out there, now that it's getting cold here. I'm like, the sun over there, I need the sun.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely interesting for me to hear, especially in a setting where fitness is like more pervasive in general, I guess. When I was in Ohio for like I went to Ohio in mid-March just because, the gyms were shut down here in the East Coast. And then I was there until July, and they opened up gyms like very early there. It was like May 26th. So it's very interesting to see how different areas respond, and like, as a result, how fitness professionals respond. And I mean, like, unfortunately, we're we're in the East Coast where it's probably the most strict regulations out of
It's the
everywhere.
most,
So
yeah. I'm just like, oh my God. Like I have a brother in South Carolina. South Carolina is on the list that we're not allowed to go to. And
hmm
he's like, no, I can go to the gym without a mask. I can walk into whatever without a mask. I'm like,
yeah.
I can't.
Right, right. But I'm glad that overall, it sounds like you're still doing, your business is taking a big hit like a lot of people's has, but I'm glad that you're able to adapt.
Yeah.
So how have some of your like day-to-day things changed? Like I know when we were talking earlier, you mentioned you do a lot more like social media and admin type work, but what does that look like for you now?
Oh, it's TikTok videos, reels, making sure I do those posts and not being forgotten about. It's making sure I get on my email list and sending out my newsletters and
hmm
um, double checking to see the payments and making sure that everybody who paid for a class got, if they didn't, because I do it like, if you paid for the class but you don't catch the live, you're going to get the recording. So I have to, like making sure everybody's getting what they, so it's a lot of these little kind of things, getting my
Yeah.
ducks in a row. um, and I also think, I guess my hardest thing right now is that I don't have a place to go every day. And so
hmm
getting that schedule to be like, oh, I got to do this right now. Oh, I got 5 minutes. I'll go, and, so I think that's like kind of the hardest thing. I like routine. I like schedule. And sometimes I need a kick in the pants. So also I like fitness classes because it gives you that accountability and
Yeah.
to do that. But yeah, it's a lot of like emails, reaching out to people, making sure that they're getting everything. Like somebody messaged me and they were like, was there a class today at noon? I'm trying to get into it. I'm like, oh, did you not get the new schedule? Oh, I get so many. And then I had to like send her that schedule. And now I'm also trying to revamp my website. So there's that other thing, and copy on a
hmm
website. Like I said, IT stuff to me, I'm just kind of like, I understand why people charge 10 grand for a beautiful website. I get it.
hmm
Like
hmm
if I had it, I would totally be like, take my money. I don't want to do it.
Definitely.
But right now I don't have, I have to, we're all doing things, we're in a weird place and we're all kind of do whatever we need to do. And so that's, yeah, it's like website, social media, videos,
hmm
like all these things. What's going to be eye catching? Like you need to be shareable, and you need to sometimes try to, something's got to go viral at some point. I know it sounds weird, but if you can just, and it's, a post, like I did a post yesterday about like Monday mornings, and you wouldn't think anybody cared about that. And all of a sudden, like 100 people liked my post today. Wow. Like, okay. So it's also like, what else can I talk about that, like, especially for social media, what else can I talk about that maybe not be bar massage related? Like, what do people need?
hmm
Sometimes you need to realize that Mondays are okay, and enjoy that Monday and put your best foot forward and have a great week, because you just want a great week, and whatever happens to you is just happening, and that it'll be over, and make these changes that you want. And so that's what it is. It's really kind of, and research, read, look up. And what else am I doing right now that's not the teaching? I'm looking for like CEUs, like what else can I take?
Yeah.
What can I learn? Always be the student. Like that's
hmm
kind of my, just always learning. And so even if it's just reading a research paper and knowing what they're talking about, that, and then, oh, I could talk to somebody about that. This reminds me of a client like that. Maybe my followers want to know something about that. So that's really what it is. It's getting the knowledge, doing your website, doing the marketing. I've also been a network, like there's a gym, not a gym, a mall that opened up, beautiful mall that opened up a mile from me, and they're doing fitness classes. My mom works there, and so she got me in touch with the person in Bloomingdale's for their events, and I'm going to be doing some kind of um, like classes there. We're going to do like a class
Nice.
pass and do a whole like series of classes with a live DJ. So
Oh,
it's
there we go.
also thinking, yeah, like I was like, a live DJ, like, because bar is like beat based, like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
one of the things, like like you kind of like move to the beat a little bit. And I have a DJ friend And he's like, yeah, that's something we could totally do. And so it's learning how to network that you haven't had to network before. And that's,
Mm-hmm.
like online, in person, because I still like that in person, and I'm still able to kind of do some in person, at least in Connecticut and not in
Mm-hmm.
the city.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of the change, just, or the work I do other than just teaching. If I could just teach and do massage and that's it, I would enjoy that.
Yeah.
That's all. It's fun.
Right. Well, it's very interesting to see how we've all had to adapt to this, and I think at the very least, like you said, a big takeaway that I get from that statement was like just being a student. Like we've all learned so much as like fitness professionals in this context, like bringing your business online, like you said, understanding the marketing through your posting and like emailing stuff that I'm learning, and like even stuff as stupid as like these lights, like I had to learn about that. And it's there we
My
go,
ring light.
there's a ring light, there it is. It's, I mean, I don't know if I would have ever really pushed myself to get it going in this capacity
Yeah.
if I didn't. And of
Yeah.
course, it's not for everyone, and that's okay if you feel like you're struggling
Right.
during this. I think we all are, but it's
Oh yeah.
good to embrace the challenge and just try new things, do new things. So
Yeah, for sure. We're here. What are you gonna do? You're either gonna just sit around, like, so I got let go March 13th. I remember that date, and I thought I was gonna be out of work for first a few days, then a couple weeks, and then a month, and then, but it only took me, I didn't do anything for just 1 week.
mm-hmm.
And that 1 week I just couldn't just not do anything. Like, what am I going to do all day? There's only so much cleaning, so much reading, so much TV, so much all that you can do that stimulates you. And a friend of mine out in California, she goes, my cycle instructor and she does my boot camp classes. She just started online, and she's, charging like X amount of dollars. Why don't you do that? Done. And a week after being furloughed, I got on Zoom, and I actually started kind of like asking for donations. Really, I didn't ask for donations. I didn't ask for donations. I know my worth. And so I was like, you want my classes? You got to pay me. And that's kind of what I was doing. Even though it was like $10 here, but whatever. And I just immediately just started like, we're going to figure this out. And my setup looked completely different. I was in my old apartment. I had a desk to one side that had like oils up and down and a computer, and it didn't look very pretty. And then I ended up getting a new desk to make, because it was a little apartment. That's the only spot I could do it in. So, and then now I'm here, and this looks like a legit like studio. And, everybody, when I showed up the first day, they didn't know I was moving. And then all of a sudden they're all like, oh, Donatello 2.0. I'm like, yeah, isn't it kind of cool? Like, and so, it just started to evolve, and you just get better and better every day. And you just, okay, how can I do this? Like this month I started to incorporate props, like balls, bands. I wasn't incorporating anything like that because I wasn't sure if people had them. So a couple months ago, I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to buy the supplies. And then I put together a bar box, and I have everything. And for X amount of dollars, you want everything, I'll ship it to you. And so now I'm just
Cool.
there's another way to get revenue, and get people. And today and yesterday I used them, and it was just so much fun using the props again in class, and like how I got deeper. So yeah, you just have to be innovative every single day.
Oh yeah, that's one of the many gems that you dropped throughout our conversation. So I really appreciate that. Just in general, kind of as in closing as well, do you have any advice to aspiring, health and wellness professionals in these kind of like more so uncertain times?
Sure. So we all are going to have these like grandiose ideas of what we're going to do when we get our certification or whatever education we're going to get. And that's not what happens. That's not what happens. Like what you think is going to happen does not happen. So when I was in massage therapy school, oh, you're going to make so much money. No, not necessarily. You got to put the work in. So if you're becoming like a personal trainer, yeah, you're going to be out on that gym floor, and you're going to be hustling for some clients even now. You know, I do think though, if you want to go into this field, knowledge, like that's what's going to put you ahead of your Instagram influencer that looks pretty or cute or buff or whatever it is that they're doing. You need to be the intelligence factor to that, because I mean, I have actually talked about it on my Instagram stories. I don't like call people out exactly like this person, but I'll say like, and other people, like there's so much junk out there on the internet that people love. And I'm like, where did you get that? Oh, because that one person who had like the 6-pack abs that was probably like just in your genetic makeup, that's where you got that from. Oh my God. So be knowledgeable, go get classes, keep doing that. Know that it's hard, but it will pay off. And do your best to be a master of something versus a jack of all trades. So like jack of all trades, master of none. I know when I moved from Colorado back to the East Coast, I moved to Long Island, I was kind of at a loss. New York didn't want to give me my massage therapist license. I didn't know what to do. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll be this health coach and I'll just do everything. And so I took a branding course. I was like, well, I don't really need any more education. I got a lot of it. I have a science degree. I have this, I have that. And then here I am. And I started to talk to people about nutrition, and it didn't feel right. Like, yeah, I could put people on a menu plan. I've done that. I've worked with naturopaths. I've done that. I know how to do that. But I was spreading myself so thin and it didn't make sense, right? I can teach HIIT class. I have, and I can teach HIIT classes. Strength. I have taught all of those classes. I know how to teach them. I know the cues to give you, but guess what? What is me is the bar, is the plot. Is that when I teach those classes, something else comes out of me. So really be uniquely you, because I know it's like everybody says be uniquely you, but really be uniquely you. Like nobody's you. Nobody likes, like how many people have you met that's a lymphatic therapist, massage therapist, and a bar instructor? Probably not many. Here I am. Right. And you'll find that. So keep that perseverance. Know that you got to do the work. You're going to have to do a lot, and the work that you're not going to want to do at all. And the money's not going to be there right away. And I hate to sound, I don't want people to not go into those fields, but I think we get into them thinking that like we're going to get rich quick, and nothing that is worth doing is easy. Right. So it's always going to be, you know, you're going to be pushing through, and know what your why is. Like, why, what's your path? If you don't have if you're just doing it because it's the cool thing to do at the moment, don't do it. We're going to know that. Not only are the people that you're trying to get money from and teach are going to know that, but the professionals are going to know that. And you want us to be your friends, because it's not competition. It's like a community, right? No, I have people that are bar instructors and massage therapists. I have told people to look at their pages. Like I also created a training program in Chelsea Pierce, and I have people like, who else do you watch? Who are the people? What are the companies that you look to? I tell them, go look. Yeah, you know, like, you know, and so just be uniquely you. Like, what's my why? My why is to get people moving pain-free, because in the end, when we are out of pain, guess what? As a society, as humans, we're a lot nicer to each other. And so if we could just be a lot nicer to each other, we get out of pain. Imagine what this world could be. I know that's like hippie granola, but like literally, what is your why? And think about it on a world scale. Like if you could do anything with what you can do and you could give it to the world, what would it be and what would the outcome be? So know your why, know that there's work, and just love what you do and get your education, and do not devalue yourself. People are going to want it for free. Don't give it to them. Give little nuggets of wisdom, right? What's on your social media is free. Little videos of, sure, give that away. But you want a full class? You want a full massage? You want this? Well, now you're asking for my expertise. And I paid a lot of money for my expertise, just like you would never go to a lawyer and ask for free advice from a lawyer. It's the same thing. And I think we don't think of ourselves as lawyer-like. Think of yourself as a lawyer, because they're coming to you for something. You have something they don't have. It's knowledge. So knowledge, be yourself, work hard, And it does not happen overnight. And I have to keep reminding myself this now that my whole business model has changed. It doesn't happen overnight. I will be there. It's not an overnight success. Nobody is. And yeah, so that's kind of, and always be the student. I've always kind of had that as my motto. And try bar.
Yeah, I need to. I know now I need to.
Try bar. It's fun. It's fun.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. That was really good. Man, such good advice there. Especially like, that's probably my favorite thing about this field is just the ability to always be learning. And it's so important just so you can continue to provide value and, kind of in turn reap the benefits of that. So I really, really like that you said that. And I second everything. So that was really good.
And we need more people like us. So if you're watching, go into it. It's fun work. It's not a 9 to 5, and I love it. And I think about like, do I need to get another job? Nah. No, I'm just going to keep doing this, and I know it'll all work out in the end. So
yeah.
Uncertain times, don't worry about it. It'll all work out if you like it.
Yeah. I like the positivity.
Right.
Well, Donatella, thank you so much for your insights, advice, and overall perspective. That was like a really productive conversation. I learned so much from you and the different kind of sphere that you're in, and I think my audience will as well. Okay. So where would everybody listening be able to find you if they're wanting to follow or support you?
So sure, the best place to find me is on Instagram, and my handle is my name. It's at Donatella Fino, so DONATELLAFINO. That's going to be the best way to find me. I also have a website. It's up. It's going to get changed, but if you want to find me there, it's just donatellafino.com. And those are going to be the two best places to find me. I do a lot of stuff on Instagram, and I'm very, like, you message me on Instagram, I can message you right back usually pretty fast. So those are going to be the two places that you can find me. And I'll put a little something in my little link tree. If you guys want to try a class, I'll have a little community link up there for you guys to try.
Awesome. So if you learned anything from this episode, please go support Donatella in some way, even if it's just a follow. It means a lot.
Yeah.
I'll be sure to link those the website and your Instagram in the description. So if you're listening, look down in that description for the links. But that's about all we have for you today. Thank you all so much for listening to episode 22 of the Trainer Scoop. If you wouldn't mind, please leave me a positive review on Apple Podcasts. It means a lot. And we will catch you all in the next one.
Awesome. Thank you.